my perspective where I stood, I became exhausted from all this talk around this issue. I thought way too many people were talking too soon without knowing all the facts.
Oh, come on. It's 2019.
Yeah, but that annoys me. I'm so
It annoys
over
me
it.
too.
I'm
but
so over
it annoys
man.
me because it's the norm and because we allow it. But that's sort of where we are now, where as soon as something drops, everyone, and you've said this before when we've talked about it, everyone has to be the first one to say something. That's why everybody was freaking out when R.J. Barrett had a bad Summer League game.
It's so ridiculous. Like, we don't have to overreact to everything. You can sit back for a while, analyze something, come back with your opinion, and really talk about it. And I'm glad with what we're going to talk about that we didn't do a podcast immediately. We didn't have to rush. I got to sit back a little bit and see, what the landscape thing, is to me here. It just seems like, I don't know, everybody was just filling in gaps here without having the complete story information to things they're talking about. They don't have access to information, but they're like, I know this. Yeah. Now, if you're probably wondering what we're talking about, we're talking about what's been a lot of the conversation in sports. And you could also say hip-hop a little bit, too, because they kind of came together. Jay-Z and his company, Rock Nation, signed a deal with the NFL to produce entertainment for events, including the Super Bowl halftime show, ensuring diverse acts for the show. And also, they would amplify the league's Inspire Change initiative. I don't trust the NFL. I haven't trusted the NFL.
Right, there's no reason to.
I've been suspect on the NFL.
Yeah.
When they announced the Inspire Change initiative, which I believe they were going to pump, I can't remember if it was $80 or $90 million into it, I was like, but how y'all going to do that? Because there was no plan. We'll come back to that again about how there's no plan and that criticism of what I'm going to. So immediately when this was announced and there was this press conference, and I'm also going to say this to start off, at this press conference, I thought it was a little disappointing that there were not people who cover the NFL strongly that are there. I didn't see my homegirl, Kimberly Martin. She wasn't there. We didn't see other people who cover the NFL on a regular basis, and I would like to say that probably was done by design. There were some entertainment people there, people around hip-hop who were there to ask questions, and no disrespect to them because some of them who were there I like, but they're not going to come with the same perspective as some of the people who might cover the NFL on a daily basis, who might ask some tougher questions, and also maybe minorities in this situation. Put that out there. People, the reaction you saw initially was people were very upset that Jay got involved in this. Very, very upset. Upset to the point that some people are calling him a sellout.
Yeah.
I thought that was way too far.
Yeah, I'm not. You can't do that yet. I mean, it's entirely possible that it ends up being that way, but I can't leap to that or any conclusion right now.
That's interesting because that's not I think there's other people like us that are on this, but there's people that immediately called him a sellout. He's always been about money.
Yeah.
My problem here was with people who will definitely tout the fact that they love people who are proud capitalists, even though I say that's always problematic when you are a minority in this country. However, they'll tout that when they want to, but when it comes to somebody possibly, you carefully choose my words, possibly doing something against social injustice, then you don't get to be that. Please remember, there were people who were very upset that Colin Kaepernick had the deal that he had way before with Nike, before he started his social protests. When the ad came out recently, I think it was late last year in the fall, where they had an ad campaign with Colin Kaepernick, people were mad at Colin Kaepernick. Well, Colin Kaepernick, he's against the NFL, and how can he be getting a check with Nike? One, the deal was done way before when he was playing. He had an advertisement deal with Nike.
Yeah.
Two, and I will say this applies to the Jay-Z thing. Where in the Revolutionary Handbook, folks, does it say you can't get money and also fight social injustice? Because it seems to be this unwritten rule that people have put out there. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
Again, where's the Revolutionary Handbook, people, and where does it say you can't get money and also fight social injustice? Because in this country, capitalistic country, one may actually argue you might need some of that money to fight the social injustice.
Although two things. I think one, people would say that Jay-Z probably doesn't need that money because he's Jay-Z after all. And two, the people that he's getting money with, the NFL, that's kind of
problematic.
Yeah.
No. But see, that's a fine and fair argument.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give a
That's
shot.
all I would say back to that, especially
Yeah.
when I listen to somebody like Eric Reid, who's obviously in the middle of all of this.
Yes.
And I hear him speak out against Jay-Z, which, as Shannon Sharp said, that's not really what you want, because now everyone's losing sight of what the actual issue is.
So I spoke with somebody who covers the NFL, and they were bringing that point up to me about Eric Reid speaking and saying that, the problem that they had with it is there's a bunch of hypocrisy around it, right? Like, there are people who will criticize Jay. We'll dive a little bit more into that, as you said, for getting in bed with NFL. And I do think there's some criticism warranted there.
Yeah. At the same time, we still don't know what's going to happen
Right.
with that.
And that
down the line,
right.
we
We don't
don't
know how this plays
know
out.
that Jay-Z isn't going to change things.
Right. We don't.
We definitively don't
Right.
know.
I think
so.
the people that are highly critical of it are not even looking at that. They're just looking at the moment right now.
Well, that's how,
Yeah.
how 2019 works.
The people, not for me, but the people the person I was speaking to about this, and they were talking about the hypocrisy on both sides, which I actually agreed with, was saying that, hey, I understand where Eric Reid is coming from and having a critical eye here.
Yeah.
But if you're Eric Reid, and sure, yeah, we love what you did. You knelt with Cap. We support that, blah, 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 blah. Yo, but you still getting a check from the NFL, bro. Like, you're still getting paid from the NFL.
Yeah.
So you can say that Jay shouldn't work and take some money for the NFL, but you still are. So there is some level of hypocrisy there. And I'm not saying that Eric Reid shouldn't take a check.
Right.
Because Eric Reid still has to feed his family, and he can take that money and do a lot of good things in his community and fight social injustice. And I understand what Eric Reid is trying to do there. And that's what I'm saying. There's no revolutionary handbook. There's many different ways to fight the powers that be.
Is it different because Eric Reid is a football player after all, and the pinnacle of obviously professional football is the NFL, whereas Jay-Z is stepping into waters that he's not really, this isn't hip hop.
Well, maybe that's the thing, right? Maybe the thing is, we as people don't need to. Why do we have these grand expectations for people who aren't really social activists? Like, Jay has done some good work in social activism. He's done stuff.
But he's not Malcolm X.
Nor do I think he has to be.
Right, yeah.
Right? Or nor do I think the way he has to attack something has to be the way Malcolm X attacked it.
Yeah.
Nor do I think it has to be the way Martin Luther King or anybody else or people who are on the grassroots fronts of the Black Lives Matter movement have to attack that. Right? There are many different ways to enact change. Some people are going to do it with money. Some people are going to do it with their voices. Some people are going to do it with taking the risk of the money. There's all different ways. But I think the thing that you were saying that Shannon Sharp said is, we've definitely become divided on this, and that's bothered me.
And that's the problem, and I don't want to say that's what the NFL wants, although it probably is, because now they get to
I don't think it's unfair to say that.
But now they get to use Jay-Z as a shield, one, and two, now the conversation isn't about police brutality and Black Lives Matter and things like that. It's, what side are you on, Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reid, or Jay-Z and Jason Whitlock?
And it shouldn't be, it should not, but it should not be. This is not a sided thing. This is not. I think you're right in this becoming the conversation is what it's made it to be. This is not a sided thing.
And this is what always sort of happens, where people just lose sight of where the issue starts.
None of this is
the reason Colin Kaepernick kneeled 3 years ago. And I don't want to turn this into the free Colin Kaepernick sort of podcast or whatever. We all know he should be in the NFL.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's like you can't lose sight of where this really starts. And this is where things move too fast. People get, so uninterested in things so quickly, and they just want to focus on, what's going on right now. And right now, there's a divide. If they're doing it with Kenny Stills and Brian Flores as well.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Where they're focusing on that, but it's like, why is Kenny Stills speaking out? Why is Eric Reid speaking out?
Right.
You know what I mean?